Hello, everyone, and welcome to GoT Thrones, a Game of Thrones podcast. I'm Alexandra August.
I'm Johnny Kolosinski.
And welcome to our discussion of Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 5, Eastwatch.
Yeah, so after this, only 2 more episodes, guys.
To start off on a depressing note.
Crazy. Yeah, so on a more upbeat note,
welcome back to me.
Yeah. Welcome back to Alex. Thank you. Glad to have you back. Thank you to Brian Croner for guest hosting our second episode last week.
With aplomb. He pinch hitted right in and was absolutely phenomenal.
He was.
So thank you to him. And thank you to all of you guys. Thank you to Johnny. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to our listeners for putting up with my inconsistency the past few weeks. I picked up a gig managing a house in Malibu for a couple of weeks, and it's been more time consuming than I expected. So the thing I least want to do is pinch hit and not host when we have live
real episodes.
Yeah, episodes this season, and not just our off-season content, but it's become sometimes it was unavoidable, but not for the rest of the season. I'm golden. I've booked it out and told them on pain of death that I will not be available on Sundays or Wednesday evenings.
Perfect.
Yep.
And I am glad to have you here. So
Speaking
we're going
of
to be
here. Where can our listeners find us?
Well, you can find us, of course, on Facebook at GoT Thrones, on Twitter at GoT Thrones PCast, and on the interwebs at large at GoTHrones.com. You can find Alex at ALXAugust on Twitter and on GeekExchange.com, where she writes about the show. That's where we pulled Brian from.
Yep, he's our editor-in-chief, so... You can find Johnny at Cycloptico, CYCLOTIKO.
CYCLOPTIKO.
Fuck!
You're out of practice.
I am out of practice. Not that I was ever very good at spelling that off the cuff. I always decide to do it mid-episode. It has never worked. And you can download our podcast. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us right now.
You can also find us now on iHeartRadio.
Yes.
Which is super exciting. I don't know if anyone's listening to us on iHeartRadio yet, but if you are, please let me know, because I worked my butt off to make that happen.
Oh, I just thought it happened magically. I got an email in my inbox, and I didn't even email you about it because I was so busy. Thank you.
All right, so I think we should probably start talking about the show. We're going to... This is our hot take on Eastwatch.
So we're going to
Our notes are minimal, and... facts may or may not be correct.
They'll be correct. It's still a pretty in-depth episode.
Yeah.
We'll be okay. We also are going to do something a little bit different with the format. We're going to start off with our top 3 high moments and our top 3 low moments of the episode, and then kind of go with our discussion from there. And as always, we'll have another more in-depth episode available to you on Thursday morning, where we're going to get more into it.
Where we'll have, the long notes.
Yeah. I still feel like our hot takes are pretty insightful, except for Battle of the Bastards last year, but...
Yeah, our hot takes for Battle of the Bastard were...
Yeah, I almost want to pull that episode from iTunes and just talk about it and make people curious about it.
All right, so, Alex, your top 3, number 1. Do you want to do the quick introduction to the episode?
No, I think we can go top 3. Let's start with that.
Okay, cool.
So... my number 1, actually, and this is just from the sheer amount of validation I got from it, if you do read my stuff at Geek Exchange, I wrote a series of sort of preview articles, one of which was, they were just things to remember, and one of which was, Bran is not the only person who knows that Jon's a Targaryen.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first, number 1 top moment this episode was Gilly being like, hey, did you know that that this maester who literally cataloged every single bowel movement and step he took everywhere in just everything that he could. He also cataloged that Rhaegar Targaryen got an annulment from his wife, Elia, and then performed a secret marriage. And we probably can guess who that marriage was to whom that marriage was.
Except Gilly didn't get to say all of that.
Yeah, but no, she just said he performed. I think we can draw the broad strokes that this is what happened. And so
it was fantastic. I loved that moment.
Well, and the reason I'm saying it was validating was because Bran, like I said, Bran isn't the only one who knows Jon's a Targaryen, and that's a good thing because they'll need corroboration, and this is corroboration. There's a documentation that Rhaegar annulled his marriage. Whether or not there is record of Jon as a baby is still up in the air, but we're getting evidence that means that Jon being a Targaryen...
That he is not illegitimate.
Well, what it means is... Well, yeah, absolutely. But the point I'm trying to make is that that information will be useful to someone besides Jon. And we've needed that.
Yes.
I was not going to be pleased. It
will be useful and available.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to be... Not to Sam, apparently, who is not as good a listener as he is a reader. But just the fact that I was concerned the show would just have Bran tell Jon, hey, Jon, you're a Targaryen, and Jon tell Daenerys, hey, I'm a Targaryen, and she would have seen him pet the dragon today and be like, yes, you are! So I'm glad that won't happen. I'm glad that
that's a really good juxtaposition that I actually did not think about until you said it right now.
I heard the Jurassic Park music playing.
Yeah, what do you think I'm doing as soon as we upload this episode?
Listening to that soundtrack?
Making the YouTube video. I did not think about the fact that we saw Jon do Targaryen things at the same time we found out that he was a legitimate Targaryen. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Well, what I liked about it, too, is that it was a very Jon thing to do, to stand in front of this monster and sort of be not afraid. Mm-hmm. He's faced plenty of stuff in his life, and so I thought it was equally resonant on two sides. That not only is Drogon probably recognizing the fact that Jon smells a little bit like his mom, but also the fact that Jon even if Jon was full Stark and somebody else, he still wouldn't have cowered from Drogon, and that just made me like him even more.
My note for that scene was, "Look, Jon, Vegisaurus."
And then my second was just Gendry all day long.
See, you're going through my list.
Joe, don't spoil it yet. Joe Dempsey, just in particular Joe Dempsey, not necessarily Gendry. I've been spoiled on the Gendry hammer thing for about 8 months, and so I've been sitting on it. So seeing him wield the hammer was not a thrilling like Robert Baratheon moment. Robert Baratheon's son is reborn, or Robert Baratheon reborn moment. But just having Joe Dempsey come back and be that just insertion, he's such a good comedic actor. And when Davos is like, no, if you don't want to go, he's like, I'm ready, let's go. Just such great timing. He put it out through the rest of the episode. Like, immediately when Davos was like, you're Clovis, don't tell Jon that you're Robert Baratheon said he doesn't need to worry about that. And then he's like, hi, I'm Gendry. It just ignores it.
My number one moment was Davos and Gendry. Just across the board.
Just that, yeah.
And his moment, like that whole moment, the Davos Tyrion Gendry scene was like some of the best dark comedy we've seen on the show.
Yeah, that was almost Preacher levels of dark comedy.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's fun to see Davos just be a smuggler and be what he's good at again. Like, this is what his career really was to be a smuggler, and Davos did it. Like, we saw what it must have been like when he did this. It was like, oh, is it 5 gold dragons? That kind of familiarity with
he knows that he's caught, and now he moves to the next step.
Yeah, he's a professional, and we haven't really gotten to see. We haven't gotten to see Davos do much of that. We've gotten to see him sort of be out of his place and be sort of out of place as this trusted advisor of Stannis and this upjumped knight-ish, or this upjumped lord a bit. And
he's the anti-Littlefinger.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, we just haven't gotten to see him really where he's most comfortable, except when he was guiding Melisandre underneath Storm's End, which turned out to also be at the place where he was probably the most uncomfortable, watching her give birth to a demon baby. And then so my final one was the Game of Thrones episode 1 Game of Thrones callback at the very end as the gate raises, the gate of Eastwatch raises, and it's the same shot of the gate opening, same shot of the backs of the what are they called in the Night's Watch? The Rangers. Yeah. These new Rangers going out to this time actually look for whites. And it was just pitch perfect.
My thought on that was that if they were going to have a video game of season 5, that's how it would open.
Or season 2.
Or season 2. Or season 1. And even though we're going to get into my biggest disappointment of the episode, that was an awesome moment to see. I just wish there would have been 10 minutes after it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for an episode titled Eastwatch, there was very little Eastwatch, but
yeah,
not that concerned.
So you've covered 2 of my top 3.
All right, so what's your last top 3?
But my other one was Randy Tarley. I didn't love losing Rickon.
Runner-up.
I didn't love losing Dickon. But I actually would have probably liked the scene better if there'd been the no bend the knee moment, and he had, simply because that's not something we've seen before.
I thought there was a chance he might do it to save his son.
Thought so too. I thought that he was going to be convinced by Randall to bend the knee because the house should live on.
Yeah, I thought either of those things might happen. That Randall would kneel to save his son, or that Dickon would be convinced to save the house by Tyrion to save the house, and same with Randall. But
yeah,
I think Dickon's got more honor than we thought. I think that if we'd
seen the take the black, he can't take the black moment before Dickon stepped up, it might have been a different scene. But I loved overall. I really liked. Randall did betray his house and his oath of fealty, or his lord and his oath of fealty, but he still has the I cannot bend the knee to a non-Westerosi.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, even if I don't agree with it.
That was the thing. I think in that moment, Randall Tarley became a little bit of a better man than Tywin. Not that either of them lacking their deep flaws, but he's always
became a better man than Roose Bolton.
Yeah, he became. Yeah, he's not. Randall Tarley lacks the amount of self-interest that Tywin and Roose Bolton had. Randall Tarley is a general, Randall Tarley is a soldier, and Randall Tarley believes in the strength of his house, and Randall Tarley is an old-school Westerosi knight who has survived this wheel and only knows how to survive this wheel, which is why he threatened to kill Sam and have him sent to the Black, because he knew that Sam wasn't that, and would never be that. And yeah, we all wish he'd been nicer about it, but he was right.
Yeah.
Sam wouldn't have done it.
And Sam would not have made it to stand next to his father at this moment, because Sam would have died at Highgarden.
Well, that's a good point. Or Sam would have been at Old Town and just would have taken a shorter time to get there. Either one.
Yeah.
That does make that really did make me sad to see that Sam is going to be wandering Westeros, going who knows where, without knowledge of his father and brother's death. And
that was my honorable mention for my bottom 3, actually.
Well, the point I'm interested in is that I wonder what's going to happen when he realizes what happened and what Daenerys did, and if it's going to affect his loyalty at all. I'm on the fence. I don't know.
I'm on the fence. I feel like that's like they played that game once already with Cersei and Jaime. Of the one character knows something and another character doesn't.
I don't think we would see that until season 7, maybe.
No, because we'll see it whenever Jon and Sam are reunited.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Or
we should.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to happen until season 7, though, is my point.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, well, then why don't we start
bottom
with your
3.
Bottom 3.
Number 1 is the title of the episode.
Yeah.
Because Eastwatch, by the sea, and we've seen in the credits, we have seen Eastwatch by the sea, where the ice has grown around it. So I assumed that when we saw Eastwatch, it was going to be like Hardhome, and it was not. And I was not saddened by the episode.
It looked pretty well manned to me.
Yeah. Oh no, I loved
well kept up.
Yeah, I loved seeing Eastwatch in the credits and the zooming down the wall to Eastwatch. I loved that moment. I did not like Eastwatch as the episode of as the title of this episode because I felt because I expected it to be Hardhome or Blackwater.
I see.
And so my expectations were that we would see Tormund in the throes of battle.
Oh wow, that's a big jump fast forward then that we would have had to make. I guess I kind of liked the title because as much as I did it sort of like, okay, well, like I said, spent very little time there, but it was, the show really revolved around the goings on at Eastwatch, and like every scene, every area had something to do with that. Tyrion goes to see Cersei because of that, because of the letter that Bran writes, which he does in the beginning of it when he sees the Night King headed towards Eastwatch. My only issue with this is that I got into an argument with a friend of mine, not an argument, I guess, a friendly fan discussion, and I'm still pretty convinced we're going to see that wall coming down this year. But, because I think it's a season ender, and I don't think it's a series finale, and I don't think it's a mid-season thing. So
it would be a mid-season thing if they were doing 10 episodes next year.
Even that, though, that wall's so important. I'm still not convinced. So that's where I stand on that. And one of his justifications was that he's like, well, the Night's King is going to go around Eastwatch. I'm like, first of all, I feel like if the Army of Dead could have done that, they would have done it already. And second of all, I think that the Night King knows that Bran can see him. And I think it would be pretty easy for him. Like, I mean, I understand the Army of the Dead is not the most sophisticated army on the planet and probably can't, like, turn on a feint or turn on a dime the way a horse-drawn army could. But I still think they're a lot smarter than just to openly walk straight towards Eastwatch as they know that this band of ravens can see whatever it is they're doing. I have to believe that there's going to be some kind of double cross here, and I think it's going to be, maybe he gets to a point at Eastwatch where he swings his sword or something and knocks the wall down. I don't know, but I'm still not convinced that this is, I'm not convinced that their strategy is just to, like, sneak around the wall. Like, why build the wall on that? Why build the wall? I know they're supposed to have been asleep for thousands of years, but still, it feels like a pretty shoddy protection when if you look at how thin the area of Westeros is where the wall is, there's a lot of naval access to it. So it just seems like they've put a lot of faith in that strategy for it to be that weak. I have to believe there are other protections surrounding the water, that it's more than just a physical barrier. Like we said, it's a magical one as well. So I still think it has to come down. And because we've been looking at it for 6 fucking seasons.
I don't know that the coming of the long winter doesn't mean that, you know, that they can't exploit. That they can't exploit other options.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
but I still think, I mean, we've just seen
the
wall
does
and talked about the wall.
It makes Ed pointless.
Yeah. Poor Ed, whose only job is to uphold that wall, make sure it doesn't fall down. Yep. Okay, sorry. So what's your next low point?
My next low point is actually Cersei's baby.
Oh, mine too. That was my number one low point.
It doesn't, to me, add anything, especially knowing where I feel Cersei and Jaime's relationship is going, which is a Valyrian steel sword in the back.
Well, one can only hope at this point. Boy, is she on my list. I dislike
could be a dagger
for a different reason. True. Ooh, could be that dagger that Arya has if everybody gets in the same room at some point. Wouldn't that be poetic justice? Here's the thing. I think that baby is not real. That shit does not exist.
Oh, I would hate it even more.
Exactly. And see, I think it's kind of...
That's just like poor... That's like TV tropes bad.
I mean, not really. It's actually it's a pretty genius move on Cersei's part because she knows.
But it's not a good move on the writer's part.
You know, listen to this, though. It actually really, really is. If you think about it, that is the only way that she can get him completely back on her side, because she knows that the war isn't going well, and she can tell that he's starting to waffle. And Jamie's always been the one with less fortitude in this capacity, and he's always been the slightly wishy-washy one. And now that Tyrion is back in the picture, which she knew about, she knows exactly what to do. She knows exactly how to manipulate him. Oh no, don't apologize. Like it's not a thing. I think it's a little bit cliche, but it's not.
It's not just cliche. This is a show that has been hammered on for the way they write women characters in positions of difficulty, going back to Sansa and Ramsay and Cersei and Jaime. And if they write Cersei faking a pregnancy to get out of a bad situation, no.
I don't think that I don't think that you're. I think you're looking at this in the context of a soap opera, and I don't think.
No, I'm looking at this in the context of writers for the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they can do this. I think if this was a different show, it wouldn't land. But I think it just makes me sad for Jaime, because I just know it's his only weakness. Yeah, it would also
not land with me.
I think that Cersei too. Cersei is a woman who would do this. She's passed off children that were not her own, that were her own as another guy's. She is manipulative. She's no holds barred. This is 100% something she would do.
Whether or not that's true, I think that they have played that card more than once.
I think she'll just keep doing it. I think they want to demonize her as much as possible. I don't know that they would catch. As a woman, I watched that and it was just appalling to me, but it fit her character.
Okay.
I wasn't offended. And I see what you're saying, I don't think I think in this particular capacity, it's really well drawn. If this was first season Cersei, I would have been like, all right, come on, that's ridiculous. But it's not. She's off. I'm trying to think of a euphemism for completely batshit crazy, and I guess I'm just going to have to go with that. But she also was pretty smart this episode, too, and very calculating when she's like, what are we supposed to do? Fight and die or kneel and die? I know what my choice is.
I did like her, what are we going to do? Not about Tyrion, but about Bronn.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the thing again, because she also knows that that's Jaime's other weakness. That's the other voice in his ear. She's an abuser. She's cutting him off from all of his friends and family and then giving him something that he wants as a carrot. It's classic abuse. But yeah, like what she said, like, she was very right. There isn't really, like, she's not wrong to assume they'll all die. If I were Dany, I'd kill him.
Yeah.
I can't really say that. I'm very far from Dany, but that was kind of a chilling moment when she was like, kneel or die, fight and die. I know what I'm gonna do, and this is the point that we were afraid of, where Jaime should have left a long time ago.
Yeah, Jaime should have seen Tyrion on a hill and said, "Okay, this sounds nice."
Yeah, you look well dressed.
Yeah,
my men are being burned,
not covered in feces.
You look like your men aren't being burned alive.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
If only Bronn had pushed him the other way. My final one was the Sansa Arya scene. Like the whole itself? Sansa Arya building into Littlefinger moment. It felt. To me, it felt like Arya should have known better, should have understood that given everything that she has lived through, that you say what you... That Arya should not have sat on her ideals in that moment and should have understood what Sansa was doing.
True.
It did not feel real art. It did not feel Arya who had been through what she'd been through to me.
Yeah, my roommate who watched it with me was like, it doesn't feel right that this is their relationship. And I had the same thought. I have in my notes, I'm like, and pardon my use of this term, but I'm allowed. I was like, I don't know that Arya needs to be quite so cunty about this. And I don't know that I buy it. But here's the thing. I wonder if she wasn't just trying to make the point, and she did it by being kind of mean about it. The point is, because she's right. We know that Sansa is thinking about the fact that this power really should be hers, that it's hers by right, and that she is holding it in Jon's stead, even though Jon has not done really anything that she said, regardless of the fact that she's right about a lot of stuff. And Arya, I think, wanted Sansa to be aware of that. She wanted her to, like, at least face the fact, like, that she wanted Sansa to face the fact that Sansa, part of her, is thinking about consolidating power in her favor. That part of her is thinking about these things, because that is something that Arya does know about. She does know about this kind of strategy. Like I said, I don't think it needed to be so cold, or so kind of, like I said, it was kind of mean and superior, and Arya is not great at now communicating and being nice anymore, I suppose. That said, neither really is Sansa, but I think it makes sense to me that these women would not be great communicators at this point. They didn't like each other when they left each other.
Yeah.
They didn't get to grow through that sort of, like, sibling rivalry into, like, loving sisterhood, adulthood. They were very different from the beginning. And I think it made sense to me that there would be a little bit of friction, but one of my like lows was Littlefinger and Arya, just because it's so freaking predictable.
Yeah.
Of course, the entire time she's openly spying on him with her face in daylight, and then openly it's so obvious. Like, girl, don't you have another face?
Right.
That you could put on and do this a little more subtly? Yeah, so...
Just be Walder Frey.
Exactly. Most people would not recognize you.
In your bag.
Uh-huh. Or be somebody. You know, that to me was just another, like, okay, guys, why is it when it comes to Arya, do they just rest on everybody loving Arya? And Arya's... I feel like they do the same thing with Tyrion. We got so many scenes with Dinklage last year where it was just...
It's amazing because he's right there.
Yeah, and we got so many scenes, and we got so much with Arya last season that was just like Maisie Williams doing crazy fight scenes, and Maisie Williams learning stuff, and Maisie Williams being blind, and it's fine, but there's more to this character, and it's like they just don't pull the trigger on all the depth that there is in the House of Black and White, and all the depth that there could be with what her power is now. We just got another fight scene with Brienne, and we're not getting her actually being the stealth bomb that we know she can be.
Right.
She's doing it all in the open, and so, of course, Littlefinger plants a scroll, because he knows that was just, to me, like, I would take Cersei faking 1 million pregnancies over that.
Not going to disagree.
But, yeah, so I like that we have a lot of, like, similar but different opinions on this.
Yeah.
So I hope that Arya kind of knows what she's doing, or I hope there's more to the story, but honestly, given the treatment they've given her, I expect more from Sansa at this point. I feel like Sansa could be knowing this whole thing is bullshit and be able to prove it. Or something, I'm not sure. And also, it's important to note the letter that Arya got is the letter that Sansa was forced to write in season 1, accusing her father.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to look at that.
Well, at first I thought it had something to do, it said 5 wounds or something, and I was like, oh, is she faking a letter about Jon's death, and is he making it seem like Sansa had Jon assassinated at Castle Black? But then went back and looked at it, and I realized that it said Joffrey a number of times, and it was the letter that she was at Littlefinger, and Cersei had forced her to write to Robb. And Robb immediately knew it was crap, and Catelyn immediately knew it was crap, but Arya's never seen it. And Arya didn't know that happened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. So he's still a piece of shit, in case anybody was wondering.
I need to, text a couple people that asked me questions about that. Because I didn't go back and look at it yet.
And then my last low point, and it wasn't that I didn't like it, and a lot of these low points aren't that I didn't like them, aren't that I didn't enjoy watching them, or aren't that I thought they made the episode. There's kind of a varying of sometimes they just made me sad, but this one was just kind of annoying. It was Jaime and Bronn at the beginning, and the humor in that scene, and how lighthearted Jaime and Bronn were for the rest of it. And I'm like, we had these wonderful, incredible moments of character actualization last episode, and they're just back to their same old tricks this episode. Jaime still has no more of a backbone when it comes to Cersei, even after watching his men be blown to ash. And Bronn is still as out for gold as he ever was, and still is, has... I don't know, I mean, Bronn less so, but I just kind of figured Bronn would, punch Jaime in the face and be like, hey, do you want to take a look at what's going on around you right now? Would take things a little bit more seriously.
I loved the line that he gave. Of a dragon doesn't get to kill you. You don't get to kill you. Only I get to kill you. I love the fact that he talked about how morose and despondent Jaime's life has become.
Yeah.
It's like number 2 threat to Jamie is Jamie after the thing that just tried to light him on fire with its mouth.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe just Jamie, not Braun.
Yeah.
Who am I kidding? Braun's always the MVP.
Yeah.
Lately, at least.
Braun's just fantastic.
So who would our MVP be this week?
Gilly?
I kind of agree with you.
Gilly McBeal?
Shows up for one scene in 5 episodes for 3 lines and blows the lid off of the biggest scandal in Westerosi history that could have huge impact on everyone.
R plus L equals legitimized J. R minus E equals J.
Thank you to Gilly Craster.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give her that last name.
Other than that, it's going to be Davos.
Just for being Davos.
Just for Davosing up.
I feel
Davos
should just
was
get a permanent MVP award, because I feel like most episodes, except for Battle of the Bastards, when he told everyone to charge for no reason.
I don't know that Davos is better written now as far as dialogue goes, because occasionally he makes boob jokes. But as far as characterization goes, he's fantastic.
I will say that was kind of, we're going to do sort of broad strokes, tops at least. I thought the dialogue was phenomenal this episode, or better at least. I'm annoyed that we're getting a lot of repetitious dialogue. There's been several lines used that were great lines last season that they've just reused this season.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I'm like, but not really, because this is HBO. It's not TV, it's HBO. Mm-hmm. So I understand Dany kind of repeating some speechified lines, but just, Jon and Dany sharing lines with each other is sort of like, all right, this is lazy. But the humor and the relationship work on this show has really surprised me. Especially the fact that I'm not so mad at Jon and Daenerys anymore. Despite
the fact that we actually didn't see them do anything this episode.
Well,
we saw them near a dragon.
Well, that's a credit to, I think, Kit Harington and Emilia Clarke. They've managed to create a relationship where there really has been no basis for one. Mm-hmm. And at the very least, it's compelling. I'm not saying I want to see them get married, but I like the fact that at the very least, they're convincing me that these two people share common values and like each other, and have maybe found in each other somebody that could understand them in a way that Jorah can never understand Dany, in a way that Sam can never understand Jon. You know what I mean? That they have these unique journeys that are very parallel, and I was not sure that they could. It seemed contrived to get them together, but it does not seem contrived to have them relate to each other in this way, and that's a pleasure to watch. Speaking of scenes that we got to see together, can I adjust my top 3? Sure. Because Tyrion and Varys. Oh, that was good. That was amazing. Just the fact that you knew he's like, it's a sealed letter from the king in the north, and I was just like, and what does it say? And what does it say? Well, nothing good. Nothing good. That was one of those scenes that seemed so natural that I didn't recognize how great it was. As I was watching it, I for some reason, maybe just because at that point I'd already been like, ooh, I'm liking the relationship work this week, and have been for the last part for this season, because it's just been a long time, and these people have worked together for this long, and we're finally seeing some comfort with each other, and now they're just in different regions, so it makes it. I think you pay attention to it more. But if you think about it, these guys have spent so much time together, and they know each other really well, and I love that the actors are playing that up, and I love that we also, for the first time, we're still seeing Varys grow. We're still. When he sat there and said, I used to say that all the time, it wasn't me. I wasn't me doing it. I watched men burn in agony, and it wasn't me doing it. When he sort of... And he's recognizing the fact that he's not going to be the one that pressures Daenerys. Well, I think also he's recognizing that he is culpable, his own culpability. Mm-hmm. I think he's tired. Yeah. I think number 2 MVP goes to anyone who was on camera with Tyrion this week. Why is that? Because we have Varys and Tyrion, we have Davos and Gendry and Tyrion, and we have Jaybear and Tyrion. Oh, Jaybear's return! Jaybear's return, which would have been
either one of our top or bottom three any other week.
I gotta say, too, like, I
was happy with it.
I was happy with it. Maybe my heart is blacker than I thought. I still don't have a lot of love for the Jorah and Dany relationship.
No, but I was happy to see him go north.
Yeah, I'm happy to see him back.
For another chance for him to die.
John, please explain to Jorah that he has his dad's sword. Like, I was waiting for that moment. Longclaw is right there. It is right there on his belt.
Yeah.
It's like Ghost. Where's that dog?
Yeah.
Is waiting at Winterfell, but
right.
I think that's good for a hot take.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on really quickly?
Let me do a quick note through. I loved I loved Gendry and his hammer.
That was pretty dope.
It was just everything about it was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so mad that I reacted to that so long ago, because when I did see this, when I saw sort of leaked set stills from it, and was just like, yes, because we knew he was going to come back, but I didn't realize that in what capacity, and it made so much sense with the last time with what Melisandre told him when he was driving when they were sailing past the Red Keep, and I thought, wow, how apropos for us to see sort of Robert Baratheon's ghost come back and avenge himself a little bit, because I think as unsympathetic a look as we've given to Robert the past couple of years, I still do find him a sympathetic character, because he didn't know what he was getting into, and he wasn't capable of being the king he probably wanted to be.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have raped his wife and hit her so much at all. He shouldn't have done that at all. I'm so sorry. Jeez. Sorry, I want to slap Cersei sometimes, but sometimes I project that onto Robert. But obviously there were things he never ever should have done, but I think he's far from as irredeemable as other characters on this show, and he's far more sympathetic than other characters on this show. And it was lovely to see him and Jon meet and have this like sort of fist bump. Hey, our dads were best friends. Maybe we can be best friends. Cool.
I guess my closing note for the episode, though, would be, why is it that leaving from Eastwatch, only Jon Snow gets lapels?
He's got the most money.
He does. And it shows.
I guess
got that bastard cash.
My final note for the show is please do better with Arya and Sansa. They are not just two girls that have to fight because they're girls and they have to fight. It's better grounded than that, but can we also just eliminate Littlefinger real quick? Because I also thought he was out this episode. I would just really... Well, also... At this point, I do... Like, can Bran just freaking speak up and be like, guys, you know that so much of this is his fault. Yeah. Like, most of it. Almost all of it. Can Bran just, like, blink away and be like, oh, BT dubs? When I said chaos is a ladder, what I meant was that Littlefinger's a douchebag that got our dad and our mom killed. When I say chaos is a ladder, it means I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I know what you did last summer. Oh, I like that. You win. I think we can close it there. So we'll be back Thursday morning with a longer, more in-depth take on the episode where we'll get into the real nitty-gritty of it. But we hope you enjoyed this hot take, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a review on any of our platforms. Yep. And thanks, everyone, always for listening. Thanks, Alex. Glad to have you back. And we'll talk to you later this week. Bye. Bye-bye.